afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the warm weather. 2 weeks ago, we were all freezing. So thank you for coming here to start with. Thank you on this beautiful day. My name is Jack Reese-Mandel. I'm the current acting president for AFG 1923. We are the largest local, and we represent the employees in this building for Social Security Administration. We represent the field office, the teleservice centers, people that are in your communities that are working, providing your hands-on, when I say face-to-face experience with the Social Security beneficiaries to give them the help they need to be able to make the decisions that affect their lives. So, again, I want to thank you all for being here in Arlington. This is an office that they're talking and proposing about shutting down. We want to keep this office open. We want to make sure that the people here in this area are able to get the service they need. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I will be coming back up and down introducing people. So most of my important job is to get out of the way and to move forward. And to do that, I'd like to introduce to you our national president of the American Federation of Government Employees, the Honorable J. David Cox. For those who aren't familiar, J. David has been having some very interesting time recently. He's been fighting several various agencies on all kinds of employee benefits and rights and things with the TSA, VA, EPA, and I could go on all day, but I'm going to let J. David tell you about that. So thank you again. J. David, please.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. All right, he's going to adjust the volume. Well, first off, today we're talking about Social Security, the best anti-poverty program in this country and in the world. And we're going to fight every day of our lives to keep Social Security going strong for the American public and to have local community offices like this readily available so that the American people can walk in, get the services that they need. And I'm so happy really to be here with all of you here today and all of our friends that believe so strongly in Social Security. And this administration, you know, we've been doing a lot of action, John. We've been out in the street almost continuously, as my brother was saying. TSA, EPA, VA, you name it. We've been out working. We're constantly in the streets. We've been fighting and rallying against violence, against bigotry, against harassment, against low pay for public service employees, and privatization. And sometimes you would think something like just trying to close a local community office for Social Security would just disappear, wouldn't get on the radar, and you wouldn't have all these people showing up today saying, this is an important service that we need for the American people, brothers and sisters. Yeah. So make no mistake, AFGE and the 700,000 members that it represents and the entire AFL-CIO with its over 12 million members is going to fight night and day to keep every Social Security community office open and available to the American public continuously to serve their needs. Because when you close this office, you're cutting a Social Security benefit. It's just like cutting somebody's Social Security check. You're cutting the ability for them to access the services that they need. And when you talk about Social Security, how many of you in this group right here, you know somebody who's disabled that had to apply for disability? Yes. For somebody that their parent passed away and they drew Social Security as a dependent as a child, and being able to make those decisions and get the advice. Every one of those people are not computer savvy and able to navigate the web and do 1,000 different points and clicks, and you can't get a computer don't just talk back to you like a human being talks back to you and give you the proper advice. That's why we're standing so strong to keep these offices open, because when you close these offices, you're cutting the ability for people to draw their Social Security to get the proper advice. So brothers and sisters, we don't say just no, we say hell no to closing any community office for Social Security benefits and any services to the American people. So brothers and sisters, I want to hear it one more time. Not no, but hell no. And we're going to stand firm with all of our folks. And thanks for coming out today and being a part of saving this Social Security office.
Thank you very much, J. David. He made one very important point, more than one very important point comes to my mind. Number one is, in this country, approximately 10,000 people every day are turning 65. Those people are all making decisions at that age about Social Security. And what do they want to do? They want to be able to talk to somebody face to face to make the right decision, okay? I'd like to bring up our next speaker. Do we have Christian Dorsey here? Okay, thank you very much. I have Christian Dorsey who's coming up. Mr. Dorsey is on the Arlington County Board member, and he's very supportive of our local efforts here. We'd like to thank you for being here. Mr. Dorsey, please.
Thank you all. I will be brief, and I want to thank AFGE for organizing today. And I just want to make it clear about how this is important to me as a public servant. Because when you think about this Social Security office, as J. David mentioned, it serves a critical need in making sure people who may not have the facility with computers, the disposable income to have computers and access to broadband internet, people who have the physical ability to manipulate computers. This office serves an essential purpose not only for them, but it's critical as a piece of infrastructure in a community that's already got 230,000 people, and our second fastest growing age cohort are senior citizens. To close this office speaks of poor business planning by the SSA. It doesn't make any sense. When you're talking about an office that serves a critical outreach component, to actually make it more difficult for people to access those services, to access the people that they need, doesn't make any business sense. And the other point that I'd like to make, it doesn't make any business sense given that, and this pains me to say as a public official, but office space is not that expensive in Arlington right now. There are plenty of opportunities for the SSA to stay, if not necessarily in this building, close by. And I pledge to leverage all of the resources that the county has at its disposal to help SSA find a suitable place for this office to be at a rate that will be much better for Arlington taxpayers than their current lease. So it doesn't make any business sense. It doesn't make any services sense for this action to be pursued. To lose the ability to connect people to an office that's within a short walk of heavy rail, and to put them in an office more than a mile away from the closest metro station speaks of poor planning, it speaks of insensitivity, and we want to help reverse that. And I think this action today is going to give us the support that we need to try and hopefully create a better outcome. So thank you all very much. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all today.
Thank you very much, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. We have up now Julian Blair. Mr. Blair is going to speak some real stories. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. When I heard this office was closed, well, first let me introduce myself. I'm a veteran and a Social Security recipient. All right. Okay? This is important to me. It's important to people I know, important to my family, friends, and even people I don't know. But let me tell you what happened when I heard that this office was closed. I was shocked. I just couldn't believe it. But I went from being shocked and confused to angry. I'm angry because if you go to a Social Security office now, it's understaffed. There are long lines. People are trying to help recipients as much as they can. And sometimes you have to go back 2 or 3 times before you get service. Now, I've gone with several, I'm a senior myself, but there's a few seniors older than I am. I've gone with them, and they had to go back. They had physical disabilities. They couldn't stand in line all day. There was no seats for them and everything. Then we're going to close the office. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to veterans I talk to. It makes no sense to Social Security recipients I talk to. So here's what we're saying. We're saying, I love these speakers before. They're real nice. I'm saying, how can you be so stupid? Okay? How can you treat people the way you are treating people if you plan to close this office? We have paid into the system. We paid for two things. We paid for our benefits and we paid for decent service. And we're not getting any of them if they keep this up. So what we're doing, we're calling for no more closing of offices. We're calling for full staffing. As for this office, I endorse the hell no, you're not closing it. So if you help me, hell no, we're not closing it.
Thank you very much, Julian. Appreciate those words and support of us again. We are very fortunate also to have some other people here, what I say, that support us across the country in our field offices, in our teleservice centers. This lady has been an adamant supporter of Social Security and the program that we're involved in. She will currently go out and fight anywhere, anyhow, to keep our offices open. You know, to give you a little reminder, basically, in the the heat of the night, how about in the cold of the winter in Rochester, New York, in the dead winter, places like that. So I'd like to introduce Nancy Ullman. She's the president of Social Security Works. She's out here to support us very strongly. Thank you very much, Nancy.
All right, Nancy.
The most recent Social Security Trustees report showed that it has a $2.9 trillion surplus. The most recent report also shows that in 2018 alone, they're projecting about a $45 billion surplus. That money pays for our benefits. It also pays for field offices, staffing, rent. It pays for all the costs associated with our earned benefits. These are benefits we've earned, and these are benefits we have paid for. Congress should take the shackles off that spending and let Social Security Administration spend not enough just to not close offices, but to open offices. We have 10,000 Americans turning 65 every single day. Republicans like to say, hey, we should run government like a business. Well, they know that time is money. And they also know that if they have a product that is popular as Social Security, they would be opening offices every other block. So there are no waiting lines. There are no holds on calls. This is our money. We are the wealthiest country in the world, and this is the wealthiest moment in our history. We are certainly wealthy to provide ourselves with the first-class service, not only that we deserve, but that we've paid for. So let me join the Hell No chorus. We've got an election coming up. Don't let the politicians get away with, oh, we want to save it, or, we've got problems. The question is, are you for expanding Social Security or cutting it? Are you for expanding Social Security offices or closing it? The American people are on our side. The polling is overwhelming. And if we all hold politicians' feet to the fire, we will be able to open offices and make it convenient for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. We appreciate your very, very strong support, and you continue behind us in all our efforts to keep these offices open. I'm going to bring on somebody now who basically has been in the trenches from one end of this country to the other, battling these kinds of open closures from wherever you want to go in California to Maine. He's the president of the SSA Field Council Office. I'm going to give you his name. I want you to spell it. You only get one chance. It's Vital Skurczynski. Okay, now spell it back to me quickly. Thank you very much. But Vital, thank you for being here. We appreciate your support.
Thank you, Jack. I represent the people who work here over at in this office, and also the people who work at the 1,230 other offices around the country, the 25 teleservice centers, the folks who answer the 800 number, and about 15 card centers where people go to sign up for a Social Security card. Social Security has traditionally provided community-based services. That's why this office exists, to service the community of Arlington. It's done that since the inception of the program. Currently, the overhead, this building, the salaries for employees, the equipment that's used to ensure that everyone is paid timely, is 0.7%, less than 1% of the trust funds paid out per year. The trust funds are solvent for over 20 years. There's no reason to be cheap on providing administrative expenses to Social Security. Unfortunately, Congress has. Since 2010, we've lost 10% of our administrative expenses, and 3,500 people less work in field offices like this. Why is that? Well, under the Bush administration, there was a big push to privatize Social Security. That failed, so Congress decided the way the American public would lose faith in the program is to make it difficult for them to obtain services. So they've closed over 71 offices since 2010. We used to have contact stations in rural communities and hospitals and other places to make it convenient for people to get face-to-face service where there wasn't a Social Security office. 533 of them. SSA closed all of them. So back in 2014, there was a hearing at the Senate Aging Committee where they demanded that SSA be more upfront when they're planning on closing offices. In 2015, there was an appropriation bill that passed that required SSA to give advance notice to the public, to have public input, to provide the criteria why they're closing offices. In 2018, in the appropriation that just passed, Congress stated that SSA had closed a couple of offices, and they said, stop closing offices until there's a OIG study on whether they're following their own policy. Unfortunately, SSA is ignoring all that. They're closing offices. This office is being closed for bogus reasons. They said there's an urban renewal project here. We contacted city government and they said that's not happening for years. This building isn't being torn down now or maybe never. So SSA is lying about the reasons that they say they want to close this office. The real reason is they want to save money and they want to shift service to the internet. Now, a lot of claims are filed now on the internet. Our employees review those claims, and they see error after error after error where the public is screwing themselves out of money, thousands and thousands of dollars, because they're making bad choices when they file internet claims on retirement benefits. Also on disability, they're not fully writing down information that's needed to make a favorable decision on their case. So internet is not an answer. There have been 2 polls done by Social Security Works and the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Both of them show overwhelmingly that the American public wants face-to-face service and telephone service over internet service. Now, so we can't permit this to happen. SSA isn't following their own guidelines. They promised to do the following. They promised before an office closes to create a uniform policy, to create standard demographic metrics, to expand criteria about the impact of the closure on the community, to use public and local stakeholders' input, give 180-day notice to the public, and have an input process where the public can have input, where employees can have input, and where political officials can have input before they make a decision to close the office. And they also promised to have a transition planning if they do close the office in advance, so when the people give public input, they can weigh whether that's appropriate transition service and different service options, such as video service and those kinds of things. They have refused to do this here in Arlington. Now, Arlington is one of 4 offices that they've either proposed to close or have closed in the last 2 years. They closed an office in Chicago last year. They limited the search for offices in a gentrified area and excluded minority areas such as Hispanic areas on the south side, the near south side, and the western African American areas. They excluded those from consideration for housing an office. In Baltimore, or in Milwaukee, Mitchell Street, they closed an office, a heavy traffic office in a high Hispanic area. There were numerous demonstrations and public disgust with regards to the closing. SSA went right ahead despite that and closed the office. Now there's an office here and in Baltimore that they're proposing to close, and in each of these 4 cases, they did not follow their own policy. They did not provide public input, any opportunity for public input. They haven't even given us a notice to the public yet that this office is going to be closed. We need to stop this. Now, one way to stop it is to pass legislation to require them to do this. That's one way. Another way is to communicate with high-level SSA officials. The person running SSA right now, her name is Nancy Berryhill, nancy.berryhill@ssa.gov. Send her a message saying, I want this community-based office to stay open. Do what it takes to keep this office open. Find additional space. Work with the political officials in Arlington. Work with the community. Keep this office open.
Thank you very much, Vito. You can tell that man has some passion behind him in this. We really need to work hard to keep these offices open. Also, another supporter of ours I'm going to bring up to speak, Max Richmond. He's the president and CEO of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Again, these are more people that are not, what I say, employed by SSA or any. These people are out there, and these people are the ones that get affected, and they talk to people. So, Max, would please come up? Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay. On behalf of the millions of members and supporters of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, I'm here to strongly object to the closure of this office. This office serves 25,000 people a day. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. JD started off with questions. I hope I get the same response. If this office closes, all those thousands of people are going to have to spend 2 hours to go to the nearest office in Alexandria. Is that right? No! Why don't you say hell no like he did?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Social Security has given us the reason for closing this office. They say there isn't enough space, suitable space, to have a Social Security office. Does it make any sense in an area where there's a 20% vacancy rate to say there's not a suitable space for this office? What do you think? Hell no! Since 2000, the year 2000, 125 offices have been closed around the country. And many of those have been closed using that same lame excuse. There's no suitable office space. What does that meant? Longer lines in crowded offices, longer waits when you call. You call the 800 number, you're going to be on the phone forever. Is this right? And it isn't just about office space. It goes beyond office space. If you are waiting for a disability hearing, you're not alone. There are 1 million people waiting for a hearing because there isn't enough funding to process those hearing claims. Many of those people have waited 2 years. Thousands of them die. Thousands of them die waiting for a hearing. Is that right? No! So, you know, what's so ironic here is 10,000 people turn 65 every day. 10,000 every day. We should not be cutting these programs, closing offices. We need to strengthen Social Security, expand the services, and expand the benefits. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Max. And you can tell, basically, let me hear this again. Should we close this office or not? No. Okay, thank you. I'd like to bring up our next speaker. He's our National Vice President out of what we call the 4th District in AFGE, recently elected last year. He's been a hard worker for many years for the benefits for people. So Danny Doyle, I'd like to bring you up. He came up all the way from Richmond, where he's been running training, to be here today with us. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's very important that we have this rally for several reasons. Primarily, I want to tell you how proud I am of the work that the federal employees do every single day in every agency across this country. Our federal employees work to deliver services to the citizens of this great nation that they depend upon across the agencies, from VA to the Bureau of Prisons to Social Security. But there's something going on. And what's going on is a systemic understaffing at all of these facilities that then makes it easier to close down offices like this. This systemic understaffing has got to stop. Congress and the administrations must staff the vacancies in these agencies and give these agencies the people that they need to deliver the services. They must also maintain the offices in the places where the people work. I want to tell you a personal story. My older brother was disabled. He had muscular dystrophy. For the last years of his life, he depended upon Social Security as his primary source of income. And I'm sure here in this Arlington area, there are many people just like my brother was, that was in a wheelchair and didn't have accessibility to get to an office that was going to be 5 miles away somewhere. So think of the impact of those people in this area who cannot get to this office anymore to get the fine services that these Social Security workers deliver every single day, because now this office, for no good reason whatsoever, is going to be closed, and those workers have to go somewhere else to get that service. That is unfair, brothers and sisters. That is unfair, and I don't want to see it happen. Do we want to see it happen? No! That's right. Thank you. I want to also take a moment to thank some of the brothers and sisters that are here with us. I want to particularly thank Virginia Diamond and the Northern Virginia Labor Council for being here to support us. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you very much. They are here standing shoulder to shoulder with every working person here in this country to show that we all stand in solidarity when wrongs like this are occurring to try to stop this. And I appreciate them for being here. Thank you, Virginia. So, brothers and sisters, we've lost 100 Social Security offices across the country in the last few years. Are we going to let that happen? Hell no. It stops right here. We're going to keep this office open. We're going to fight to keep this office open. This is a community fight. This is a labor fight. It's a fight for the citizens of this nation. It's a fight we all share together. So what are we going to do? Fight. We're going to keep fighting? Yes, we are. What are we going to do? Keep fighting. Social Security is our right. Social Security is our fight. Social Security is our right. Social Security is our fight. Social Security is our right. Social Security is our fight. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Well, am I glad I have to speak after him. Thank you very much, Dan. You got them all filed up. That's great. So what are we going to do about this office? Are we going to close this office? No. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Richard Fiesta. He's the Executive Director for the Alliance for Retired Americans, representing union and community retirees. Again, people that are affected by this. These are the people that get affected by this. So, Richard, please come on up. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the 4.4 million members, the Alliance for Retired Americans, from big cities to small communities across this country. Right here. Got it? All right. From big cities to small towns across this country, we work and every day with the members of the American Federation of Government Employees on behalf of their active and retired members and our 4.4 million retirees. We started this event in the shade, and now we're boiling mad, it looks like, at what's happening in the Social Security office. Social Security is the people's program, and we need people to run the program. Social Security is our earned benefits. It affects everybody, and you can see that by the age range of this crowd today. You can have Social Security benefits regardless of your age, but you need people dedicated to run the program. And we at the Alliance were once again saying what to closing offices? Hell no! But it's more important for us to hear from people who are affected daily, and that's today why we have one of our retirees here from Northern Virginia, Cecile Heatley, to talk about her experience with this office and the importance it is to people of the community right here in Northern Virginia. Cecile.
Hello? Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, at least we don't have the truck anymore. Okay, when my husband died 3 years ago, I knew I had to do something with Social Security, so I called, and they told me to go to the office in Alexandria on Edsel Road. So I went. It was a long drive. I live in McLean. I went. When I arrived, it was already a circus. There was no seat available. I had to wait 3 hours without a seat. When I finally talked to somebody, I mentioned that I had waited 3 hours without a seat, and she told me, well, next time, go to the office in Roslyn because you won't have to wait, and you'll have a seat. So the next time that I have to go to Social Security, I did come here, and it was a much happier experience. I had a seat, I did not wait too long, and it was a good experience. So I am very, very upset that they are thinking of closing this office. I want it open. Also, the drive to Alexandria is a long drive for me. I don't drive very much anymore, so it's really an imposition. Also, I don't know. I'm really discouraged about the general, what's happening with Social Security and all services. So that's it. I hope this can stay open. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
This is what it's all about. Right here. This is what this is all about.
That's right.
Thank you again. Thank you all still for being here. We've been honored with local, state, and federal lawmakers who stepped up to help support this Arlington office from being closed. State Delegate Alfonso Lopez was not able to come here by name, but in the meantime, he has been able to get 5 other legislators who represent Arlington on a letter asking for Social Security to reconsider and keeping this open for the people of Arlington. Representative Lopez is currently in Richmond on business, but we are pleased to have with us his legislative assistant, Kevin Sachio Broch, and please pay attention to him. Kevin, your stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Delegate Alfonso Lopez, who unfortunately, as introduced, had a work conflict today, regrets that he couldn't be here. But our office coordinated a letter with several other of the delegates and senators who represent Arlington in the General Assembly. And it reads, it was sent earlier this week to Acting Commissioner Berryhill of the Social Security Administration. So I'll read it now. Dear Acting Commissioner Berryhill, as members of the Virginia General Assembly, we are writing to express our opposition to the planned closure of the SSA field office in Arlington County. We are concerned that the next closest field office in Northern Virginia is much less accessible to Arlington residents and already serves large constituencies in Alexandria and Fairfax. This would place Arlington's most vulnerable constituents at a considerable disadvantage and may result in economic loss. Those with the most complicated cases and the greatest need often benefit from in-person services. Many of these individuals are also among the least mobile and the most dependent upon public transportation. With a number of commercial property vacancies in the county, we believe the Social Security Administration and the General Services Administration can easily locate appropriate space to continue field office services to our constituents in Arlington. Arlington residents who would be adversely affected if this decision goes forward should have an opportunity to provide input. We also ask that you suspend efforts to close the Wilson Boulevard office until you have located another space within Arlington County. We hope to work with you to remedy the situation in a manner that meets the needs of our constituents. We look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience. And the letter is signed by Delegate Lopez, Senator Adam Ebbin, Senator Barbara Favola, Senator Janet Howe, Delegate Mark Levine, and Delegate Patrick Ho. We thank them all for joining us in this letter. We thank AFGE for bringing this issue to our attention, and everyone else here for coming to this rally and putting us on this event. We hope we can get this done and keep this office open. It's far too important to the people of Arlington not to. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Like I said, we do have supporters from local, state, and federal, and yeah, think it's too close. Okay. We have all the different levels. Basically, we have Congressman Don Beyer, who's a big supporter of keeping this office open also. However, he's unable to be with us today. He has already written to the Inspector General of Social Security to find out basically why are you doing this, and you don't need to do this. But he has sent his representative here, his district director, Noah Simon, is here to share his thoughts. Thank you very much, Noah, for being with us today.
Thank you, everybody. I think the best thing to be is brief here. I do know that you have a friend in Congressman Beyer. You can imagine with everything that's going on across the river, he's a little bit busy these days. So I did just want to read a statement that he wrote for this event. Closing the Arlington Social Security office without public notice or public input is unacceptable and will hit our most vulnerable neighbors hardest. I wrote to the Social Security Administrator's Inspector General asking the SSA not make any final decision to close this office while they determine whether doing so violates Congress's requirement for public notice and community feedback before closing field offices. I will fight this. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Noah, and thank Congressman Beyer for his support behind us. Basically, I'm the last one you're going to get to hear from, so I want to hear some noise. Do we want to close this office? No! Okay, I can't hear you. No! Okay, very good, very good. Now, Danny was up here, and basically he gave us something maybe to cheer. I'm gonna repeat his words. Social Security is our fight. Social Security is our right. Social Security is our right. It is our fight. It is our fight. It is our right. It is our right. Do not close this office. Do not close any Social Security office. The people across this country deserve it. We'd like to thank everybody, all the supporters we've had behind us, all the speakers, but most likely I'd like to thank all of you for being here, putting your feet here, and putting your face here. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Take care. Thank you.